42. Now, June is National Gun Violence Awareness Month. Our Danita Harris now over in Studio B with a special guest to talk about the challenges our community faces to raise awareness. Hey, Danita.
You know what, Dave? Hi, and it is a big challenge. Last month, the government cut funding to certain gun violence prevention programs, including the Cleveland Peacemakers Alliance. So joining me now to talk about that and the importance of gun safety is the executive director of the Cleveland Peacemakers, Myesha Watkins. Myesha, thank you for being with us this morning. How timely is this conversation with 7 teens involved in a shooting over the weekend? Gun violence, a major issue, and you getting cuts to your organization. How is this impacting you?
It's really unfortunate when you think about cutting programs like Cleveland Peacemakers Alliance. A lot of our work is rooted in staff personnel. And not just that, but the resources that we're able to give to families who's impacted by gun violence. Too often people will say, you know, my thoughts and prayers are enough, and that's not the case anymore. The resources from the grant that that was terminated by the Trump administration allowed us to help families with like safe housing, relocation, transportation, funeral supports if life was lost, and also being able to give them something in hopes to stop retaliation or re-victimization.
Something your organization does, and it was new to me, we talked on my podcast before, right now there are like 4 families at a hospital from this recent shooting. They're in that emergency room, they're in the hospital. Your organization has something that you go to the hospitals when you hear about shootings like this. What do you do?
So it's our hospital-based violence intervention program. We have 2 hospital responders, one at University Hospital and one at Metro. And over the weekend when those 17s were shot, we had a hospital responder at each hospital. And so imagine if you go to the hospital, you have 7 different families from 7 different victims that are all requesting updates about what happened, if their loved one is alive, you know, feelings of emotions of like, if you look at me different, I'm gonna punch you in the, like all of the many things. And the hospital responders are there to basically be a liaison between the community and the hospital system. What can I tell you in this moment, not to say that your feelings aren't valid, but to tell you, what can we do right now to bring a sense of calmness here so that we can figure out if your child or your loved one is okay? And my hospital responders were working around the clock this weekend.
Yeah. Well, you brought something today that your organization is giving out free to the community that can help with the gun violence. Show us what you brought today.
So today, in partnership with County Counsel Michael Hausner and the American College of Medicine, we are giving away gun locks and a storage box. Okay. And so when you think about Gun Violence Awareness Month, accidental shootings make up a big half of what's going on. So think if I was a young person and I was being bullied at school, I know that my parent has a firearm at home, and if it's not locked, I know that I can handle my conflict in this way. So our goal is, how do we create a safe storage in homes so that when conflict arises, young people or even adults are not having the accessibility to a firearm that is not stored. So we're hoping that put in storage in homes where firearms are, that we can reduce the amount of accidental shootings and or suicides.
Yeah, because we know that is happening. More about your organization, something that you do that I've witnessed firsthand. You partner a young person, because it's about young people, okay? You partner young people with mentors that have, as I say, experience with the street life to turn their lives around. Talk more about that, because it's just amazing to me.
So we have outreach workers who have lived and shared experiences similar to people in community, and we paired them with the highest risk young person who's at risk of shooting or being shot. A lot of referrals come from the courts, a lot of referrals come from hospitals, community word of mouth. And Dre, who was on the podcast with you, literally had the opportunity to invest a lot of time into a young person named Amir, who is now working for the city of Cleveland, graduated from JFK, literally doing all of the things that he knew he could do. But sometimes you just need that ear of a person that understands that I'm not talking at you, I'm talking to you, I'm talking with you, and I'm talking to you in a way that is receptive. Like, what's up?
And I witnessed it firsthand, because I ran into him later at a church, and there he was leading the church service. And I was like, oh my goodness, look at you, a total 360. But a lot of his problem came from dealing with his father, and you have something that you talk about where you say, we've got to get this problem because it starts before they take the shot. Before they take the shot, there's something else happening. How do you address that?
And it's really good when you talk about the narrative. People think that a problem starts once you pick up the gun, but it's before the bullet is even fired. Like, what within inside of a young person or an adult is saying, you know, I'm at this point where I just cannot take it anymore. And the easiest way to address it is to end the life. And that's not the answer. And so when talking to young people, we really have to do like a visioning mindset. Like, what do you envision for yourself? And Danita, I'll tell you that sometimes the conversations are heartbreaking because they don't see anything for themselves, not because it's not possible, because the many compound layers of just frustration and like lack of is saying like I don't know what to do. And because I am acting out in a way that it makes it seem like I don't care, but I do care. But how do I get around people that will not give up on me, that will relentlessly engage with me, that will see me for who I am? And that's the work that Cleveland Peacemakers does. But it takes time to build a relationship with a young person who's used to people being in and out of their lives. It may take 3 months to get them to change their mind or to agree to trust. But people don't see that part.
No, they don't. And that is a big problem. And I think the key word that you said that our young people don't have, they lack hope and they lack value for life. And if they don't value their life, then that's why they don't have a problem taking someone else's life. So we got to get to them. And I think it starts at the home, at the home level. And your organization is really doing your part in doing that. Moving forward, what other things are you working on or what is coming down the road for you?
So there's, in the midst of uncertainty, there's a lot of opportunities for collaboration for organizations because it's bigger than one program. We're talking about the impact of the quality of life of our entire city. So really dreaming about an opportunity where many organizations, including like the Brenda Glass Trauma Recovery Center, who was impacted by the termination of my grant, who had to forgo her salary and also had to close down a trauma recovery house, a transitional house. So like the impact is not just about my program. My outreach or my cry to anybody listening is like, how do we invest in the quality of life, centering community violence so that organizations do not have to compete, but it's a greater need to collaborate? What can you do? What can I do? And what can we do together to enhance the safety in our community? So my ask to anybody is if you have a program and Cleveland Peacemakers can collaborate with the resources and people that we have, let's do that so we can reach more people. But we do have an exciting partnership that the Cleveland Cavaliers funded called the Pathway to Stability, where we incentivize young people up to $200 a week to come to our programs. We know that we're competing for their time. So if I can say, if you go to ghetto therapy every Wednesday, I'll give you $20 if you go to ghetto therapy every Wednesday. That's $80 a month. And so really figuring out a way not to say young people don't want to, but how do we incentivize them for their time with hopes to change their thinking and give them opportunities?
Well, Myesha Watkins, you are doing a great job. Cleveland Peacemakers Alliance definitely needed, and may you continue to do that work to shift the minds of our young people when it comes to violence. And I tell you, hopefully they'll come by and get those gun locks as well to protect themselves in their home. And they're free. And you can't be free, right?
Absolutely.
Myesha, thank you so much.